Welcome. Come wander with me. We'll step softly into a place where the air is gentle, the pace is slow, and the world feels just a little more magical. Here, there is no hurry, only the quiet pleasure of exploring somewhere new. The Faerie Market. You arrive just as the first lanterns bloom. Not all at once. They don't light like street lamps or candles struck from a match. They unfurl, slowly, shyly, like flowers opening in moonlight. A golden one here, a soft lilac there. One that glows with no color at all, only the warmth of someone remembering a good dream. The market reveals itself to you gradually. One moment you are walking a narrow and wooded path, the hush of night deep and thick around you. Then, as if the trees exhaled, the branches lift, and the clearing is there. It is not grand. It is not crowded. It feels old, but not aged. Lanterns begin to drift overhead on invisible threads. The moss underfoot is springy, cool, and just damp enough to hold your footprints a little longer than it should. The market itself is a ring, or nearly one. A loose, lopsided circle that seems to have grown out of the moss like a pattern pressed into velvet. You have a look around at the stalls. Some of them seem proper. Tables with legs carved from twisted branches, draped in cloth that catches the lantern light like water. Others are simpler. Baskets nestled in low hollows, a board laid across two stones, a blanket smoothed gently across the moss. Scattered around them you see bowls of many shapes and sizes, loops of ribbon tied between stakes, old crates holding bottles that glow from within, and even one display that seems to hover a few inches above the ground, swaying gently as if remembering a breeze that passed long ago. Colors bloom all around, not garish or loud, but rich, warm, and soft. Deep forest greens, plum purples, candlelight golds. And everywhere, the lanterns. Some strung like beads above your head, others tethered low to drift lazily beside your knees, casting puddles of color across the ground like dreams that haven't finished forming. There are no strict shapes, no signs, no boundaries, and yet the market feels complete, not arranged, but gathered, as if it has always known exactly where each piece should go. Some vendors sit, their legs folded beneath them on cushions stitched from petals and smoke. Others stand behind their wares with easy stillness, hands resting gently on tabletops, eyes half-lidded as though listening to something just beneath the hum of the market. And then there are those who do not hold a shape for long. They drift at the edges, figures made more of suggestion than certainty. One blinks into view with a crown of dandelion fluff and a coat that shifts like fish scale glass, only to blur again when you look too long. Another leans over a bowl of glowing seeds, their fingers long and green as ivy. But when you pass by an hour later, those same hands are feathered, and their eyes are nothing but deep silver light. They are not hiding. They are not performing. They simply are. As if the act of being one thing for the whole night is too rigid a request for creatures made of dusk. They offer their wares with a tilt of the head, a blink, a gesture, and when you speak aloud, or not, you feel they understand you perfectly. But none of them rush, and neither do you. You slowly begin to notice more and more people, not because they weren't there before, but because the market is quiet in a way that lets people be, without needing to announce their presence. A figure lingers beside one stall, hands clasped behind their back, watching little trails of memories without moving. Another kneels on the moss near the mirrored table, their head tilted, face softened in reflection. A small group passes you in near silence, 3, maybe 4, their footsteps bare, their lanterns bobbling gently on strings of thread no thicker than spider silk. Most keep to themselves, not from coldness, but reverence, as if each person's experience here is a kind of fragile magic best left undisturbed. Though you do catch quiet exchanges from time to time, a shared look between two travelers holding the same kind of ribbon, a soft breath when one opens a box and finds something familiar inside, a murmured word, not in your language, but still somehow clear in meaning. There are children here too, not many, but a few, darting between tables like minnows, their hands trailing sparks or dandelion seeds, depending on where they've just been. One stops beside you for a heartbeat, holding out a stone that glows faintly blue. She shows it to you with pride, then runs off before you can say a word. They are all from elsewhere, not Fae, but not fully like you either. You don't ask who they are. You're simply sharing this place with them right now. And that is enough. You stroll up to the first stall you come across. The table is round and low, with smooth gray cloth pulled tight across its top. Upon it rests a circle of tiny wooden boxes, each smaller than your palm. The Fae woman seated behind it nods at you, then reaches over and lifts one lid open. Inside, the sound of a lullaby's first note. Not the song, but the sound that comes right before someone begins to sing it. That quiet, sacred stillness. She sets it down and gestures for you to try one. You lift a box with a tiny knot etched on the lid and open it slowly. Inside, the feeling of your name being spoken kindly after a long silence. It leaves your fingertips tingling even after you shut the lid again. You nod to her. She doesn't speak, only smiles with a softness that says you picked the right one. A few stalls down, a long cloth runner is rolled over the grass. Upon it sits a careful arrangement of slippers, velvet, silk, bark threaded, leaf stitched. The vendor, tall and reed thin, with skin like polished copper, beckons you to try a pair. You slip off your shoes and slide your feet in. The moss beneath your soles vanishes. Instead, you feel warm river pebbles and slow-moving water rushing over your feet. The sensation is relaxing, like a cozy dream. You laugh just once, a soft exhale through your nose, and the vendor bows slightly, as if he's proud of your reaction. You take them off, give them back, and now your own shoes feel heavier afterward, but not in a way that bothers you. There's a small commotion to your left, gentle, curious murmurs. You follow the sound to a stall made from woven woolen branches. Strings of bells hang overhead, delicate and tuned to something softer than pitch. On the table glistens little beetles walking in tight, looping paths. On the table, glistening little beetles walk in tight, looping paths. No two are the same color. Some shimmer blue, some seem to reflect nearby thoughts. One walks across a leaf and leaves behind a trail of laughter. The beetles are not for sale. The sign simply says, "Watch only." So you watch, and something deep inside your chest remembers. The air shifts. A cool breeze drifts through the clearing, carrying with it the scent of cardamom and early rain. You close your eyes for a moment. Somewhere, a flute plays a wandering tune. No melody, really. More like a breeze that forgot it didn't know how to sing. You follow it. At the base of an old tree, a vendor has spread a blanket covered in stones. Each one is etched with a word. No prices, no labels. You crouch. The words are not nouns or commands. They're not even full thoughts. Just truths, maybe? Almost. Still. Brighter. Let's go. You touch one that says, "Stay." The moment you lift it, the scent of your childhood bedroom returns, faint and warm and safe. You hear the sound of a nightlight being turned on. You blink once, gently, and set the stone back. The vendor, an old fae with long sleeves and twig-shaped fingers, just nods, as though to say, "That one remembered you." The market pulses, not with music, but with motion. You notice a stall selling scarves woven from magic. Each one is lighter than fog and slightly warm to the touch. You pick one up and drape it over your shoulders. Immediately, you feel heard, like every unspoken thing you've carried has been gently acknowledged. You leave it there, but the feeling stays with you. At another table, feathers lie in neat rows, not quills, not decorations. Each one labeled with a phrase. The first step you were afraid to take. A goodbye you never said. The moment before forgiveness. A wish you did not admit. You choose none of them. You just look, That's enough. There's a faint chime as you approach a trio of bowls filled with colored sand. One blue, one pink, one pale green. The merchant invites you to mix a pinch of each into a glass vial, then holds it up in the lantern light. Inside, a memory you didn't know you still carried plays faintly, not in sound or in picture, but in feeling. It settles like weightless velvet in your chest. You thank him, and he waves his fingers, dismissing the idea that thanks are owed for such things. Just then, a child runs past you, laughing, holding a lantern that floats just ahead of her. It dips when she dips, rises when she twirls. Then, the string is no longer in her hand, yet the lantern seems to know her rhythm by heart. The Fae watching her is older, wrinkled at the eyes, and entirely joyful. He notices you watching, offers a wink, but says nothing. You continue wandering, letting your feet choose the path. There's no map here, and no need for one. The market seems to rearrange itself gently as you move, unfolding in soft corners and unexpected curves. You find yourself at the edge of a small rise, where the stalls are quieter, stranger, and stitched more from wonder than material. You notice a loom. No tent, no table, just a tall wooden frame set into the moss, its threads stretched taut across the frame like a gate waiting to open. But instead of cloth, it weaves moments, small, quiet ones that feel oddly familiar. The brush of a hand against yours in a crowded room, the creak of a door that always took just a little extra push, a laugh muffled behind a scarf. You don't touch it, you simply stand there, letting those half-remembered pieces slip gently back into place. A little further on, an old fae crouches beside a basket filled with curious seeds. Thin and papery, curled like tiny sleeping bats. A sign pinned to his vest reads, "Umbrella seeds, wind-fed, moon-grown." He lifts one between thumb and finger and unfurls it with a whisper of movement, floating gently up before spiraling down again in a lazy drift. "Plant them in moonlight," he murmurs, "and they'll grow tall enough to follow you through a storm." He does not offer you a seed, but one slips into your palm all the same. The next stall is tucked into the roots of an old birch tree, its shelves carved directly into the bark. Dusty bottles rest in quiet rows, their wax seals unbroken. Each bottle bears a single hand-drawn symbol: a staircase, a flame, a closed eye, a spinning wheel. When you pick one up, a flush of calm spreads through your chest, giving you courage. You notice a Fae woman beside you. She has ink on her knuckles and a face full of stars. She gives no pitch. She makes no offer. Just watches. And when you return the bottle, she nods slowly as if to say, You'll know where to find it when the moment comes. Near a lantern that glows soft pink, a blanket has been laid on the moss. It's dark green and stitched with curling vines of silver thread. You stop as the vines begin to move. Tiny flowers bloom across the fabric, rising from the embroidery like waking dreams. Each one a little different. You feel it more in your throat than your nose. Cinnamon, new snow, parchment bathed in candlelight. Just then, a quiet fae hands you a needle made from the thorn of a rose and a thread made of golden silk. You thread the needle and make a single stitch at her direction. A new flower blooms where you touched the cloth. You say nothing. The blanket now knows your name. You notice a new tent. Its walls are made of smoke and spider webs. Inside, a fairy with eyes like rainwater plucks at a staff shaped like a harp. All around you, thin threads hang from the ceiling, strung with knots and little bells. Each one holds a sound. He tugs a thread beside your shoulder and a note rings out. It is the sound of a cupboard closing late at night. Another thread, the shuffle of pages turned with care. Another still, a laugh you once heard while half asleep and never quite placed. He gestures to the threads, inviting you to choose one. But you shake your head. Some sounds are meant to stay quiet. Next to you now is the stall of the lantern mender. It is nothing but a crooked bench and a few lanterns, cracked, empty, flickering low. She works with slow hands and silver thread, patching the broken bits not with glass, but with stillness, with time, with patience. One visitor hands her a lantern that flickers blue, then sputters out. She whispers to it, not in words, but in something older, and then sews a single glowing stitch across the base. The flame returns, not brighter, just steadier. You realize you have no lantern of your own, not yet. But when her eyes meet yours, there's a promise there. One day, if you return, she'll be here. A nearby arch made of woven vines and flower blossoms catches your attention. Past the arch, a narrow path winds into what feels like a tucked-away corner of the market. The lanterns are lower here, close to eye level, and their glow is a soft silver. You realize you've begun to walk in slow spirals, gently drawn toward the center of a clearing. Here, stalls give way to soft cushions and low benches. A tree has grown into the shape of an arch, and beneath it a table set for tea. No one speaks. The hostess, if she can be called that, is seated at the far end of the table, surrounded by empty chairs and glowing cups. One of the cups beckons, not with movement, just with quiet warmth. So, you sit. You sip. The tea tastes like a dream you almost had. Something with rain and candlelight and a name you forgot upon waking. You don't drink it all. You don't need to. Not here. The market begins to quiet. You hadn't noticed how full it had become, not with noise, but with presence. More visitors than you remember passing, some barefoot, some with wings that don't flutter, one with eyes like mirrors. You wonder if they were always here, or if they arrived as you slowed down enough to notice them. Near the outer edge again, a final stall waits. It's little more than a stool and a curved piece of driftwood. On it, a single feather rests. White, soft, unmarked. A Fae woman stands behind it, tall, quiet, with a robe that shifts from storm gray to soft gold as you approach. She tilts her head, then gestures for you to pick up the feather. You do. It is lighter than light, yet it grounds you, anchors you. "This one's a promise," she says. Her voice is like fabric sliding over polished stone. Not a spoken one, just the kind your heart already knows. You close your fingers around it, and she smiles. You slowly wander away with the feather still in hand. The market has begun to tuck itself away. Its time here is drawing to a close. It begins with the lanterns, not dimming exactly, but drawing their light closer as if tucking it in for the night. The warm golds soften into candlelight amber. The pale blues go still. A few of the lowest ones blink once, then drift upward until they are indistinguishable from stars. Some of the music fades into a hush. The flute that wandered so freely now plays in only short, breathy phrases. Not a farewell, but a reminder. It is time. A few notes drift on the breeze, linger near your shoulder, then disappear. The scents soften, spice turning to grass, sugar to smoke. A blanket gathers itself back into a basket. A string of charms rolls into a spiral and vanishes into the grass. A glowing vial on a nearby table flickers once, then pours its light downward, seeping into the moss like rain. Vendors who once stood behind tables are now only shadows, or mist, or memories of motion. Some nod as you pass, others are already gone. The change is so gradual you almost didn't notice it. You take a slow lap, one more loop around the ring. The slippers are gone. The beetles are sleeping. The mirror table is now just cloth. But the trees still stare down at you. The moss still remembers your steps. The breeze still carries something warm. The visitors begin to leave in slow waves, one by one. No rush, no goodbyes. You do not feel hurried, but the pull is gentle, steady, like the tide returning to the sea. You leave without feeling like you are leaving. The market will go, that is its way, but something has chosen to stay with you. You begin the walk back towards town. The air feels cooler now, not cold, just awake. You touch the feather in your hand. It's still there, still light, still sure. You glance back at the spot where you first stepped into the circle. It is empty now, not abandoned, but released, returned to what it was before, or what it will be after. As the market disappears behind you, you feel it lingering, not in your vision, but in the hush beneath your breath and the soft weight of a promise tucked into your hand. And so, the path leads you gently away, carrying with you the quiet magic of this place. May it linger with you, a calm light in the corner of your mind, until we wander together again.